Welcome to Compleat Kidz Online, friendly discussions about autism and other developmental disabilities. Learn how working together is working better, one conversation at a time.
All right, welcome to Compleat Kidz Online. I'm Gina.
I'm Bob.
And we're joined here with Jill.
Hi.
Jill's been around the company a little bit.
I have.
So why don't you tell us about your journey a little bit?
Yeah, so I started as a behavior technician in 2021 and then moved into the RBT position. I got my certification. After that, I became an assistant lead RBT and then transferred clinics to Huntersville from Concord and then moved into HR. So I'm now an HR generalist. I do a little bit of recruiting as well. So yeah, it's been very fun, very interesting. I've gotten to meet a lot of faces and get to know a lot of different parts of the company.
Do you think it helps with that background that you just mentioned, being in HR?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm able to see things from the clinical side as well. So things that you might not think about if you've never really been in the position, I'm able to kind of put towards HR. So I think it's super beneficial in that sense.
Who's clicking?
Keanu is texting.
Oh, but is that you? Oh, it's on the computer?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right.
We'll cut it out.
Yeah. Of our one camera shoot.
No. So what made you want to be an RBT?
Honestly, I wanted to be an occupational therapist originally when I graduated. So I thought that becoming a registered behavior technician would be a really good introduction to that. The really cool thing about Compleat Kidz is you are able to kind of work with occupational therapy and physical therapy and speech therapy when you're an RBT. So I thought it would be a great way to get exposure to working with kids and also getting to see what it would look like if I was an occupational therapist. So that's initially why I joined.
Do you still have plans to go back to being OT or
No.
HR world?
Fell in love with HR that much, huh?
Yeah, I found when I was a assistant lead RBT, I liked working with the staff and the adults and kind of seeing them grow and helping them out a lot more than I did working with the kids. I just bonded with the adults a little bit more. Still love the kids. That's why I work here. But I really liked working and watching the adults grow too. So moving into HR was kind of a way to do that in a sense.
Even the marketing department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what did your days look like as an RBT?
So as an RBT, I mean, it's a jammed packed day. The day would go by really quickly. Every day you've got a maximum of 6 kids. So each day you'd see a different group of kiddos and you'd get to work with them on their programs, hand them off, get the next kid, hand them off. And yeah, it was kind of a quick paced, ever changing environment.
So what did your programs look like? Things like that?
Most of the kids I worked with, I mean, each kid had their own individualized programs. So, there would be some kids who you'd really be working with on just getting them to pay attention to you and, maybe make some sounds or do fine motor movements. And then there'd be the older kids who were, had a lot more of the speech and language development, but maybe needed more assistance with appropriate peer play or understanding the difference between fiction and reality. I mostly worked with the high behavior kids. They were my favorite. I loved kind of kids who were non-compliant, kids who could get aggressive, because I liked seeing them be able to overcome that and realize that they can communicate in a way that is more functional and that's a little bit more kind. So that was my favorite part about it.
Cool.
I feel like you don't hear that as much as
Yeah.
You
which is
don't.
great.
Every once in a while, you'll meet someone who likes the higher behavior kids, and there's always like 1 or 2 per clinic, and then they throw you on them every day.
Of course.
And I love them. They were so much fun because I mean, so many of the kiddos who are high behavior are, I mean, all kids are, but these kids were extremely intelligent, and they were so smart that they knew if they were extremely high behavior or aggressive or non-compliant, then they could get what they wanted out of the situation because no one wanted to, interact with them in that sense. And then they'd come across people who liked high behavior kids like me, who I didn't care. I actually loved it if they did because, then we're going to work towards altering those behaviors and making them more functional. And, so it really, really was kind of cool to work with them and see them grow and understand that somebody does care about them and that they can get what they want out of this situation without engaging in those behaviors. So yeah.
And I bet it was easier to see the progress with them too, right?
It was. Yeah, it's a lot. There were some kids, I mean, I had one kid who I worked with almost every day for 6 months, and I couldn't even get him to say the color red. We would spend an hour and a half working on the color red, and they would, as soon as I held up a card or I asked them a question and placed a demand on them, they'd start throwing things. Mm-hmm. I mean, they would just go all over the place. But after about 6 months, something clicked for them, and all of a sudden they started doing everything that we said, like this, because they knew if I just say red, I can be done with this and I can go play for the rest of the time. And we let them.
So it wasn't a gradual thing. It was like all of a sudden something clicked, and that's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes it's gradual. Sometimes it's just that click. And the click was really cool to see because, I mean, 6 months of this kid not even wanting to say the color red. And then as soon as, you'd hand him off to the next person, he'd be like, red. Just because he just didn't want to do what the next person. So seeing 6 months of just trying and all of a sudden them doing everything that you ask like that was awesome. Yeah.
So you're in HR now, and you want to hire BTs and RBTs.
I do. I'd like to.
Talk to our audience of millions. And tell them about becoming a BT and an RBT, and what the job entails, and then how they can go about maybe applying for a job with us.
Yeah, so becoming a BT and an RBT, just joining ABA therapy is something.
What's the difference between the two?
So a behavior technician is just the entry-level contracted position. You come in as an independent contractor, so you're not technically employed with Compleat Kidz. Reason being is because you really need a certification in order to work as a registered behavior technician. So you come in at entry level at a contractor position, and we provide the training and resources. We take you through the process of a 40-hour online training course, and then you do a competency assessment with your supervisor or BCBA, and you take a final exam on site with the BACB website and Pearson, I believe. And then after that, you get your certification. So that's when you become an employee. And
we pay for all that stuff?
Yeah, the only thing we don't pay for is the exam up front. It's a $100 total fee, $50 application, $50 test. But if you get your RBT within 90 days, you get a $200 bonus. So we reimburse you for that $100, and then we provide an additional. So it's kind of an incentive. But I mean, getting that certification really just means that you've got the training, the resources, and that foundation of knowledge that, allows you to be successful in the field. I mean, knowing the terminology, knowing what you need to do, it's super essential in this job. So having the training and resources really something amazing that Compleat Kidz provides. Beyond that, working in ABA is challenging. It is not a job for everyone, and I will say that over and over. A lot of people join it because they want to work with kids, and that is so beautiful. There's so many different fields where you can work with kids. In this one, you're working with a unique group of kiddos. I mean, all have autism, And autism has a variety of different, behaviors, a variety of different skill levels, just unique, just unique parts of our kids. I really liked it, but again, really liked working with adults. But
I do think that to me, it seems like either you can't hack it, it's a little too rough, or you really, really, really love it.
yeah, it's either or.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it because you're really getting to change these kids' lives. I mean, these kids come in because one of the main things is they just don't know how to properly communicate in the world, or they haven't had the resources and the training that they need to succeed.
I think how frustrating that would be. Like,
Of
if you're
course, yeah.
hungry, you're thirsty, and you can't say that, like,
can't
what else would
communicate
you
it at all.
do? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. And in school systems, they provide a lot of teaching and a lot of skills that you need to learn, but children with autism learn differently.
Mm-hmm.
They still need the school, don't get me wrong. They need all of those things, but they really need this therapy because it's just a different way of learning. You're teaching these kids that they have demands that are placed on them that they have to follow through with. It's a very simple demand reward system, but to them, it really allows them to understand, if I do these things, I can get this. And it kind of allows us to shape their behaviors and really excel in different skills. A lot of kids with autism are extremely intelligent in certain disciplines or certain departments. I had one kid who was so incredibly smart when it came to science and anything, nature, rocks. I mean, he could tell me the perfect room temperature, boiling. This kid's like 4.
You're like, oh, cool. Like, interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't tell him. I'm boiling pasta all the time. I mean, he was so smart, knew every dinosaur, all of these things about the earth and magma that I could never tell him.
You're learning from each other.
We really were. If you put us on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, I would lose and he would win. And the kid's 4. I mean, it was incredible. But he struggled with understanding the difference between like fiction and reality. So he'd get or fiction and fantasy. So he gets so into, the rocks and the magma that he'd suddenly create these ideas that he could make tunnels underground and that there were people coming after him because he could do that. And so,
At 4.
yeah. And so we kind of had to shape it
Wow.
into like, is this fiction? Is this fantasy? What parts are real? What parts aren't? And yeah, they actually graduated a little bit ago. So that was kind of cool to see. But yeah, I mean, these kids are amazing. It's kind of a tangent, but.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So I did cut you off about, I'm a young person looking to get in, or any person looking to become an RBT or PT / RBT. What do I do?
Yeah. So if you're looking to become an RBT, I highly suggest coming here to Compleat Kidz because we do provide that training and those resources. You can do it independently, but it's a lot harder because you have to find a supervisor outside of, in an independent company. You've got to find certain resources that we have here. If you want to get into the field, I highly suggest that you apply online. You can go to our website. It's www.compleatkidz.com. You can also go to LinkedIn, Facebook, just look up Compleat Kidz, RBT. We're on ZipRecruiter, all of the different job sites, and put your resume in.
Indeed, I know we're on Indeed.
Indeed, yep. We'll give you a call and get the process rolling.
So if I'm that person and I'm not really sure about what this job, even after this podcast, can I come in and
Absolutely.
take a look and see what the job looks
Absolutely. If you want to come to one of our clinics, you can come on in and just say, hey, my name is such and such, and I heard about the position. I'm interested. We'll be able to give you a little form to fill out and then walk you around, give you a tour, and then we'll show you where to apply and how and get you started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Super awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Great. So I'm being blinded.
I know. Move. You want to ask her the superhero?
So, we have our superhero theme throughout our clinics.
Okay.
So we ask all of our staff, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would time travel.
Where would you go?
Anywhere, at any time. If it's the weekday and, I'm tired, I would time travel to the night before. And
Like, where's Jill? Oh, she's in 1870.
just I go back, forth, whatever. No real reason, no specific event. Really just kind of.
That's a good one. I like that one.
It's fun.
Yeah, what would you guys do?
I always say teleportation. It's kind of a boring one, but I love
Well,
traveling.
similar, but instead of traveling through time, you travel to space, I guess.
Yeah.
Not really, but
Yeah, I like that one.
yeah.
Good one. Where'd you go in space?
No, that's not mine. Mine is I would like the ability to never wake up with a hangover.
Oh, that's fair.
It is the week after the Christmas party, so we're all.
That would be a good. I'd time travel back to when I didn't have one,
Hangover.
or to after either.
But yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming out. We know you're busy.
Of course.
We know you had to come out to this location, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
we do appreciate it.
No worries. It's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I walked around, got lost, kind of said hey to all the other people here.
Went to the wrong clinic.
Yeah, anything for you guys. I'll travel
Appreciate that.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
around. Of course.
And like Jill said, if you want to, inquire about positions here, go to the website, and there's a whole host of jobs up there. Just go to the careers tab and peruse your way through all the open positions.
Yeah, please check us out. We're an awesome company. There's a lot of growth, clearly. Here I am in HR, started a while ago in a technician position. So, we're willing to work with anyone who wants to grow and learn and be a part of our community.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All righty. We'll see you on our next episode.
Bye.
Thanks again, Jill.
To continue the conversation, visit the links to our website, Facebook page, or Instagram in the comments.